Listen, on today's podcast, I'm going to try and stay on topic. And
What is the topic?
It's whatever you want it to be, but I'm not going to talk about Kenya. I'm not going to talk about girls from Kenya. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to answer your questions because this is Black and White with James and Eric. I'm Eric.
I'm James.
And you're on, man.
So, hey, let me ask you this.
Ask me anything.
Okay. But I want to specifically ask you, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My backyard. Just being in my backyard. We had a little sandbox.
Any cats?
No cats.
Good. Because you know what
No,
cats,
you know what? It was really...
Cats turn sandboxes into litter boxes.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
That's what they do. It had like this little roof thing. It had two poles in the middle, they came up, and this little roof stood between those two poles, so that when you were done playing in the sandbox, you could just lower the roof, and it became a cover for the sandbox. And that roof tilted because the posts were in the middle, so it could tilt to be shaded if the sun was in the east or in the west. It was very cool. It was a very cool design. I believe that my grandfather, my mother's father, made it. It was very cool.
Where was that at? At the house on
Vallecamp.
So you grew up on Vallecamp.
On Vallecamp, on the what is that? Southeast side of Warren, Howland Township. It's Bolindale. It's the Bolindale. It's the part of Howland that the rest of Howland doesn't recognize.
No, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah, both are
Morgandale too.
Morgandale, Bolindale, right.
Yeah, no, Bolindale though.
So wait, which were the first two elementary schools they closed?
Is that true?
Yeah, Morgandale and Bolindale. In that order.
And they sold both of them. One of them's a college and the other one's a church.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's probably more black people at the college and at the church than were students at the school.
At either of the schools,
Yeah.
exactly. You're right.
There you go.
Well, you go to the elementary school that I attended as a child. It is now your place of worship.
It is now Believers Church, and yeah, I Sue and I go there, but it's very different
Than being an elementary school.
Well,
I heard the lockers are still there.
They are, and
Okay.
and that half of the building
Okay.
is still there, but they added on. So the
Yeah, I saw that.
sanctuary is an enormous venue.
The
but
sanctuary was at the old gym.
No,
They tore it down.
No, the old gym is there.
Okay.
They still use it, but it's like the youth area. But now the sanctuary that's used on Sunday morning, Saturday
Yes.
night, and Sunday morning for regular worship service is all brand new construction.
Oh, that's. I've driven through the parking lot, and you know what? Even though it's gone, my elementary school was gone.
Yeah.
I like what it became.
Okay, well you should go in. They'll let you in.
Oh, I go to Bedside Baptist.
I understand.
Okay.
You could go on Saturday night. Though,
I know.
Before bed.
Okay, I have a problem with.
I don't care. I'm not trying to drag you to church.
I know
mean,
you're not, but I have a problem with organized religion in this country.
Well, some days are better than others. So,
Some days it's unorganized.
so it may be disorganized. Yeah.
If
so,
it's unorganized Sunday, I
There you
might
go.
go. Okay.
yeah, I've been to a number of churches over the years, many different faiths and different.
Let's get back to that
different
first memory.
different franchises of different religions. But yeah, my earliest.
Wait a minute. Religions have franchises?
They do.
Okay.
They do. Like Christianity has Baptists and Presbyterians and Catholics and Methodists and Lutherans
and Orthodox Christians.
Sure,
And those are franchises.
they are
Much like Carl's Jr.'s and McDonald's.
well more like Carl Jr. and Hardee's.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good
So
size.
my earliest childhood memory is that sandbox, I think. Beyond that sandbox was a swing set,
Now, this is what you remember. This is what you remember.
and behind that swing set was a swimming pool. And I remember when we got the pool, so that's not my earliest memory, but that was kind of the setup.
Okay.
And it was just a simple above-ground pool that, was metal, that rusted, because, it's full of water and it's metal. So-
Okay.
And then beyond that, there's woods.
Yeah.
And the woods went east.
Are they still woods or has it been?
No, they're still woods.
Really?
But they're not as thick and dense as they used to be. But actually, if you went, no, it's not east. If you went through my backyard to the woods, there were trails.
I love it.
They were very cool.
You
We
had
rode-
trails. You had trails when you were a kid.
We did, but we rode our bikes
On them.
on those trails
Okay.
through the woods.
Okay.
So you wanted to go as fast as you could, but you also had to be careful because if your handlebars hit a tree, you were done. I mean, you went down. But if you went west on that and up the hill, you ended up in the playground behind Bolindale Fire Station.
Oh, I know where that's at. Okay, I know exactly what trail you're talking about.
And they had the
now.
Bolindale Homecoming Festival up there, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Really, Bolindale Homecoming Festival.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything like that at Morgandale. Mainly just whatever community things were. They used to have a lot of rummage sales. At the,
Yeah, they had, garage sales and rummage sales.
we called
and
them rummage sales back then.
Didn't have a garage?
Now, I always wondered, like, I went over to a garage sale once and I told the guy, if I buy the garage, how are you going to get it to my house?
Well, I think they're called rummage sales because
You
would
rummage
go
through.
rummage through everybody
Right.
else's crap.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you offer them a nickel for
Right.
their life savings.
Right. So let's get back to the garage sale. If I go to the garage sale and I buy the garage,
Yeah.
is he responsible for delivering it to my house?
So it's whatever deal you make.
Okay.
Where's he going to park his car? Your house?
I didn't tell him to sell his garage.
No, that's true. All right. So that's my earliest childhood memory is preschool, pre-kindergarten, hanging out in that backyard. And I had neighbors. They were, the family that lived next door had just a son who was a couple years older than me. Family on the other side had 2 boys and a girl. They were all older than me. Across the street, there were 2 girls and a son. They were all older than me. And next door to them, directly across the street, was actually, getting back to the church, the pastor at the church that's Believers, that was Morgandale Elementary, is Joe Caminetti. The Caminetti family lived across the street. They had 7 boys.
And Joe played football with me in high school.
Yes, for 1 or 2 years.
Yes, he
One
did.
year probably.
No, 2.
I think he only went to Howland 1 year. I think he went to Kennedy until he was a junior, and then went to Howland his senior year, and then was injured.
Well, he played in backfield with me, and then his wife? No.
No, you're
Barb.
thinking of Mike.
Mike.
Mike is our age.
Yeah.
And married Barb,
Barb.
who is our age, who graduated in our class.
Right.
His older brother. Now, Mike is a pastor at a church in Canton. Mike and Barb are both pastors at a church in Canton.
A lot of pastors in that family.
Their older brother is Joe, who is the pastor at the church here in Warren.
Right.
Then the next oldest brother is Anthony, who is that's not right. James, who is the treasurer and more than just that. He does a ton working at the church here in Warren. And the older brother Anthony
Which
is
church?
married.
Your church?
No, Believers.
Believers.
And Tony is a missionary. Tony's been all over the world. He was in Italy for a number of years. He was in Malaysia. He's now in Australia and has a church there and a school, and works for a Bible college there, and has a pretty good sized church in Australia. And then there are 2 younger brothers that are not in the religion at all. They attend church, but they don't work there. And 1 brother had passed away.
And those were your.
So that's 7. That was my childhood. Those
were your childhood friends.
Yeah. And 2 doors down, there was a girl who was a year or 2 older than me, and we were friends growing up. So there were my age, and within a couple of years of me, there were half a dozen people within 2 or 3 houses.
Wow.
Yeah, there were a lot of kids, and they were Polish. It was from a white standpoint. It was a very diverse neighborhood. It was very European.
Even you guys, I shouldn't say you guys, because even whites, even you guys,
Yeah, even you people. Why don't you go with you people?
Even you people, even you white people, you're self-segregated. We were talking about that the other day. You were telling about we just black people want to self-segregate by just having their own businesses. But you're talking about whites, and then you're breaking them down by Polish, Catholic.
Oh, I'm just saying we had all of Europe was represented there.
But even Europe, I'm saying Europe as a whole. African Americans look at Europe and we just see Caucasians. Europeans look at Europe and you see nationality.
Sure. But you see that here too. You see Canadians, you see people from the United States, you see Mexicans, you see Japanese, Chinese. I mean,
That's ethnic. Those are ethnic groups.
what's the difference between me saying Polish, Russian?
Because you know what, and I guess this is what black and white is about. Because I don't really think it's about race. I think it's about tribalism. Because I see all Caucasians as one. But
Well, you're racist.
Am I?
Well, sure, if you're going to lump everybody together, why don't you say all Asians are Chinese?
I didn't say all Asians were Chinese.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you're going to lump them all together there, Archie Bunker, why don't you do that?
Well, I guess the point being, all Asians should self-identify, all Caucasians should self-identify, and all people of African descent should self-identify. That seems to be what the neoliberals want us to do.
There you go again with your labels.
I love that one, though.
Well, why don't we just say we're all humans, members of the human race, and leave it alone from there? Why do you want to give everybody a label?
It's not just me.
Yeah, but it's me and you. We're the only ones here.
But you brought up the fact that your neighborhood friends, you were breaking them down by Polish.
I said
Yes.
we were very diverse
Okay.
for a whites only neighborhood.
So you're pointing out the fact that you were all different.
Yet we're all the same.
And that's
I said
basically what human beings are. But
that's what I'm saying.
Why can't we as human beings? So look, is it racism or tribalism that America's having a problem with right now?
Oh, the list that America's having a problem with is so long.
Let me count the ways.
Oh, the list. Oh, if we only had time to make a list.
Well, first of all, I've always heard that you should stay away from people who make lists, okay, of things they don't like.
Yeah.
Okay?
These are the people I hate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That list becomes an action item sooner or later.
So anyways, if I can be so bold as to say, that's my earliest childhood memory is the stuff in my backyard.
Okay. Okay.
My neighbor was a
But you had a dozen kids around your age in your neighborhood.
about.
Dude, I had a dozen kids around my age in my house.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about the neighborhoods. So now, remember the Harrises, Mike and Tim Harris? They lived right across the street from us. Now there were, 9 or 10 of us. There were 11 or 13 of them.
Oh my gosh.
We were right across the street. I mean, it was just...
There must have been an ambulance or a police car at your house every single day.
The funny thing is our families were frenemies, right? Our parents got along, but the kids, we each had within, a family structure where you have that many kids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's just
Yes.
the older sisters that sometimes were best friends and sometimes they were worst enemies.
Yep.
Me and Tim Harris, all the way through elementary school, had this running battle. And, I wasn't the biggest kid in the world, but I just had this inability to back down all my life.
Yeah. Even when you're wrong.
Even when I'm wrong.
Yeah, especially when you're wrong.
Especially when I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. That's still with you. That's still a thing, James.
Well, I figured out to back down. Well, you know what? I just don't stand up when I'm wrong.
Don't you hate when you're in the middle of a heated argument, especially with your spouse, and right in the middle you go, "Oh crap, she's right. She's absolutely right."
And then you can't bring it back. You're out there too far, man.
You've overextended yourself. You have to continue to argue the point that you know is wrong.
And then you try to bring something else in to prove, just to have a little bit of
dignity. It's called dignity.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they give you that look.
Yeah.
And it's
that's your dignity slipping away.
It's over.
It's oozing out of you.
It's like, really? Did you just go there?
So that's my earliest memory. And in the last podcast, we talked about your earliest memories and your coming of age.
Traumatic and coming of age. And then again, you know what? We're not talking about fondest memory. We'll do fondest memories one day. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Because, in tumultuous times, being 4 years old, I remember this event. It was 1967. Okay?
Okay.
And another one of those things is burned into my mind's eye and then sit me down. It affected my viewing pleasure on TV. I fell in love with Rat Patrol after this story broke on the news, and then I wanted to know more about World War II. 1967, Israeli-Arab War. I can remember standing in front of the TV. Aunt and uncle had come over to visit.
Wait a minute. Just to be clear,
Yes.
the Israeli
Arab
Arab
War.
conflict.
Oh, conflict. It wasn't a war?
I don't think it was a war.
Okay.
I don't know that
because
war
no
was
one
a
ever
war.
actually declared war.
Right.
Okay. So the 1967 Arab-Israeli conflict.
Okay.
Okay. So I was 5. Aunt and uncle come over. Made a couple derogatory comments about both sides, along the lines of ethnicity and race. I had nothing nice to say about Henry Kissinger. Also, nothing nice to say about Nixon. So you pretty much figure, these were two very strong Union members.
Okay.
1967, when that event was taking place, was it discussed in your house?
No, it was only 7 days.
It was too short?
Yeah.
It was too short of an
What are you
event?
talk about?
We watched it on... Oh, I remember the news footage from that one. I do. I
Wait,
remember it.
in 1967? You were 5.
I do really remember. I remember the tanks roll. I remember the news footage from that.
Dude, you were watching, who was that, Anwar Sadat?
Yes.
I was watching Captain Kangaroo.
Well, no, Sadat wasn't... that was Nasser. Nasser was the president of Egypt during that war.
Okay.
Nasser was, not Sadat.
Had I been not 5, I would have known that.
Well, I was 5.5, and I did know that.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was that weird kid who would wait for my dad to finish reading the sports page, and while I was waiting there, I would sit next to him while he was reading the sports page, because, he would share some things with me.
Right.
And then when I got a wee bit older, I would grab the front page and read that until he was finished. So I became a news junkie at probably by the age of 8.
Okay.
I was consuming news articles on a daily basis. Because that's what my dad did. You know what I mean? You don't do what the old man does, right?
I understand.
Okay, so that's what I did. So I remember things based on news cycles. Maybe because I wanted to forget everything else that was going on.
Well,
I
that
don't
could
know.
be.
Yeah, maybe that was it. So let me ask you
That
this.
was, that was the Gaza Strip and Palestine.
All of that. But you got to remember something, too.
Jordan and Syria. And,
All of those issues were pertinent to African Americans because you had
Turkey.
You had the Muslims at the time,
Right.
Okay, the Muslims in America. Malcolm had just been assassinated, so at that time you probably had one of the largest number of Black Muslims in America. There were indigenous people, African Americans who were joining the Muslim faith. Okay, and so
Okay.
it was an issue that was talked about amongst my elders, my parents. These were the pertinent issues to them. At the time, the African American community was struggling for its own self identity. These were issues that they talked about daily. I mean, every day they talked about these issues. These are things that affected us on a daily basis.
Moshe Dayan, Yitzhak Rabin.
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, I know those names from history.
Yeah, but
I just
their
don't-
history to you, they were in my life. They were in your life too, but you chose not to pay attention.
Oh, I don't know that I had an option.
Because your parents were your parents like you already said
They
this.
were white.
Quite sure they were when they were born, and they are
they
right
stayed
now,
white.
and they
Yeah,
stayed
they
white
stayed white.
all their lives.
Yes, they did.
Okay, all right, but I mean, current events, news, things like that.
I'm sorry, is that a question?
Yeah, was it important in your life?
Were current events
Sure.
important in my life?
Right.
Not at 5.
I've got issues.
Well, how many remains to be seen.
Well, at 5, let's just say I was a nerdy kid then.
Okay, we could say that.
Well, okay, more or less, I was paying attention to what was. Let's just face it. I was always that kid who was in the room who would always be told that you should exit because no children allowed.
Did you have Hot Wheels cars?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, did you have G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
Did you have toys, blocks, building blocks, that kind of
Sure.
stuff?
All those things.
And yet you still had. Did you build a wall with those blocks to keep out the people you didn't like? No, so you paid attention to the news.
Yeah.
I was really good at GI Joe and Hot Wheels.
Well, GI Joe, having so many GI Joes and Hot Wheels.
You didn't have any.
I did. I had the Hot Wheels. Remember when the Hot Wheels? It was like, it looks like one of the trains, the
Like
maglev trains. I had a Hot Wheels set that was like a maglev train.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Those magnetic those trains that go on the rails, like in the super fast ones in Japan and China, because we don't have any of them.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Those bullet trains.
Those bullet trains.
Yeah.
I had a Hot Wheel set that was a bullet train. It was the coolest thing. It may have been one of the few Hot Wheels sets that my mother bought me for Christmas that I managed not to destroy within the first 6 months.
Well, as impressive as that is.
For me, ask my sisters how impressive that is.
I will.
I was the kid who always set up his I trains and smashed them through things.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah, I think we all did. Yeah, no, at the age of 5, Jim, I must confess, for as much of a news junkie and politically active as I am today and have been for the last generation or so, at the age of 5, I was not interested in Moshe Dayan, Menachem Begin, Anwar Sadat, and the Israeli Arab-Palestinian conflict.
I really wasn't.
Jordan, Syria,
I
Turkey.
really wasn't interested either. I was just more interested in what all the commotion was.
Sweetheart, I wasn't even aware.
Really?
That turkey I thought was meat that we ate on Thanksgiving.
You didn't know it was a country?
I had no idea.
No?
No idea. A country? Really? I don't even know if it.
Well, you know why I knew where these countries were?
Pre-kindergarten, I don't know if I knew.
Well,
if I knew that the United States was a country.
Did you know the Earth was round?
I don't know.
Okay, so like one of the favorite things my mother would buy. We have that many kids, right? So you always want to buy a lot of things, for everyone. So she would buy a lot of educational toys, things. So we had this one we had 2 maps, okay? Puzzles, really. They were like puzzles.
Yeah.
Made out of plastic pieces, and one was the continental United States, okay?
The what?
The continental United States.
Okay.
And there were these plastic pieces. Each one had a state in it.
Right.
And you put them in there, right? And then each state had its state capital flag pin to fit into a hole.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you're playing, but you're educating
learning,
yourself.
Right.
So each one of us, by the time we got to elementary school, our teachers were like, what do you mean you're in first grade and you can name 26 state capitals?
Okay.
Because we played with things like that. Well, my mom also had one that was like, Western Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere. Okay. So I would sit there and I would literally play with a puzzle, a plastic puzzle. I would put Turkey into place. I would grab the pen. I knew Ankara was the capital of Turkey.
Okay.
By the time I was probably 6 or 7, we had all these toys. And my mother, being the person that she was, oh my gosh, when that guy came around selling the Encyclopedia Britannica, we had, I don't know how many volumes of Encyclopedia Britannica in our house.
We had the World Book.
And the World Book. Yeah. And if every question about your homework, other than math, okay?
Right.
Other than math, because she would help you with your math homework. She was really good at that.
She would say, go look it up.
Go look it up. And if you can't find it, I'll help you look it up. And if you can't understand it, I'll help you understand it.
Right.
But you're going to go look it up.
So when I got to first grade, we had been to Colonial Williamsburg, Gettysburg, maybe Washington, D.C. also. We'd taken a summer vacation.
Okay. And
I had a lot of material that related to the American Revolution, the 1776 and George Washington and that kind of stuff. And I took it to school, and my first grade teacher was Mrs. Ezzo. And Mrs. Ezzo saw this coloring book and all these things that I had, and I don't know how she did it, but she took my coloring book. She asked my mother if it was okay. She took that coloring book and she made copies for the whole class and used it as part of her lesson. But then she replaced my coloring book, and I don't know how she did that. I don't know. She must have written a letter to somebody, some gift shop in Washington, D.C. or something. because there was no internet, there was no fax machine, there was
Remember when there was no internet?
I do.
Do you miss those times?
No, I don't, because those 8 shelves of books that your parents bought for
Yeah.
a bazillion dollars,
Yeah.
I've replaced with one little tiny dot on my phone. It's Google, man.
I know.
I mean, I
like the digital age. So I have to agree with you.
That was my school. I was very excited about learning and participating in school, especially in elementary school, because that teacher made that experience for me, and I became so engaged. And then it was important, and it was cool. I was cool. I was a star in the class.
Well, I think we all had that teacher. Mine was Mrs. Huber. Okay.
And now she's driving cars.
Why?
She invented the taxi ripoff thing.
Oh, it was Yuber.
Oh, Uber. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
Not Uber.
That's different.
And actually, I all of my high school friends, I would actually say that she may have been all of our favorite teacher.
High school?
Yeah, when we got to, if you talk to all the kids who
Wait.
went to high school with me from Morgandale.
Oh, she taught at Morgandale.
Yeah, she taught,
Okay.
and she taught in junior. She eventually went to the 7th grade building.
Yeah, I don't remember her.
We were in 8th and 9th grade by the time she got to 7th grade, because one year she had the girls' 7th and 8th grade track team, and that's when I bumped into her again after being in her class. I think I had her for 6th grade, 5th grade. I think 5th grade, and at that point I was like just probably falling off into a childhood depression.
Okay.
After my mama died, and I wasn't, there was no one there pushing me or driving me towards grades anymore.
Right.
My
right.
dad was working, geez Louise, 12,
Sure.
12, 16 hours a day, right?
Just to stay away from the kids.
To feed us.
Well, that too, but
Yeah.
man, there were a lot of you guys.
Just to feed us, right? So, grades have probably slipped a little bit, and it was the American Revolution and Mrs. Huber, okay? Not Uber, who, I don't know, that topic, the Constitution, it was the Constitution that just like
She's made it
woke
come
me up.
alive.
She did. She made it, she made it completely come alive. I gravitated to it, and you know what it was? She used that hook. If you can see yourself in something, you become.
Yeah.
When we started the subject, she gave me a book that was not part of the curriculum on Crispus Attucks. And from there, as life marched on, I learned that African Americans had fought and died in every war this country had ever fought. Come to find out later that my granddad's best friend, Mr. Long, who he and his wife lived on a dead-end street, just the house right next to us. They were the only house on the street. They were the only house on the block. He fought in World War I.
Wow.
World War I. And listening, he would not tell the stories, so my grandfather told me the stories. And, at that point, and then I became enamored with World War II. Tuskegee Airmen, the 759th Tank Division, the tip of Patton Spear,
Yeah.
the original Black Panthers. The German soldiers feared them so much, they named them the Black Panthers. And so I get really kind of upset with people who don't know the true history of the name Black Panthers, because it's an honorable name that comes out of...
You get upset. How do you think real Panthers feel?
Oh, yeah. There are not a lot of them left.
Well, no.
No, there are not a lot. I don't think... There are few of the 759th left. Very few.
No. I mean the cat.
The black cat
Yeah.
in the jungle,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you don't want to be like associated with what America.
Yeah, I think they're going, look what those idiots in the United States are doing. They're taking our name.
and then turn us into a terrorist organization.
Well, you get the Atlanta Braves and the Cleveland Indians, and people are upset about that. Well, because they say that's racist and harmful and hurtful. And well, how do you think those cats in the jungle feel?
So we
when
should
they
be-
say, look at they're militarizing our name.
Well, you got a tiger on that helmet over there.
Oh, I'm not against it. I don't care.
Do you think the cats?
I do have in my office. I have a football helmet from the Howland Tigers from high school. I didn't play football, but I like the.
You were in a band.
I was in the band. I was in a marching band, the concert band.
What instrument did you play?
Trumpet.
You still play?
I do not.
No.
I started in 4th grade. Music classes started in 4th grade. I started on drums. By junior high, I had moved to the sousaphone, which is tuba, and then
You wanted to dot the I at Ohio State University.
no, I did not.
Yes, you did.
I didn't even know that existed.
Oh, I'm telling you. Oh, my
and
gosh.
then by the time I got to high school, they needed more trumpet players and they needed fewer tuba players. And so I was moved to trumpet, and which worked out well because I had played piano from, I don't know, probably first or second grade. I started playing piano.
I didn't know you played the piano.
Yeah.
You
And
still
that-
play?
I can play.
You can play.
I don't play very often. I goof around and make up song lyrics and joke
And the
you know,
grandkids love it.
but yeah, I don't even do it with them too much. A little bit with them, but the playing in the band really helped me come out of my shell. That's when I was very shy and very reserved and quiet, and then band helped me come out of it because not only did we play halftime of every football game in front of, I don't know, 500 or 600 people,
Yeah.
or more.
I think sometimes a little more.
That looking up at that crowd, we then marched in parades and had people looking at us and watching us and perform. And we're
That's
performing
twice
in front
now
of-
you said looking at us. You have a problem?
Well, they were
with
looking at us.
I know, but do you have a problem with people looking at you?
I did.
Really?
Well, sure. I didn't want to stand out.
Why?
Because that was just my personality. Then we played 2 Cleveland Browns games. We played the Buffalo at a Buffalo Bills.
I
game
remember when you
halftime.
guys played the Buffalo Bills game. I watched that.
We were at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park. just
You
outside of
also
Buffalo.
opened up 82 bypass.
We did.
You did.
We did we did. We marched. I was the first person to be on that
No, the
on-ramp.
guys who built it were the first people on it.
I was the first
Pedestrian.
First,
Eric Thompson.
yeah, I was the first Eric Thompson. But,
Okay.
the first non-construction worker guy.
Okay.
Yeah, we played at the ribbon cutting, and
Yeah.
I don't know if the governor was there, or county commissioners, or some elected official somewhere.
I think the governor was there.
I don't know. I don't
It would have
remember.
been Rhodes then, wouldn't it? Was Rhodes the governor? Hey, you got Google in your hand. You got the whole
No,
world's
wait. You know what?
encyclopedia.
No. I don't know. I don't know.
Celeste?
It was probably Dick Celeste because Governor Rhodes was gone by then. Rhodes was governor in Ohio
When we
10 years earlier.
when we were in elementary school.
When Kent State happened.
Yeah,
That was under Governor
right.
Rhodes' watch. So then Celeste ran against him, which, by the way, one of the greatest campaigns ever in all of politics.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top 10 favorite slogans of mine is the Dick Celeste Jim Rhodes gubernatorial race in Ohio, because Kent State had taken place, but there was also a banking scandal that had gone on, and I'm trying to remember the name. It was
The savings and loan scandal.
no. It wasn't savings and loan. That was
No,
later.
that was later.
There was another banking scandal. A bank had failed, on a state bank.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the bank now, but it was something State Bank. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Home State Savings Bank. There was some bank failure thing, and then Kent State had happened, and the Governor Rhodes. Actually, I take that back. It was Dick Celeste's problem was Home State Savings Bank. And his camp came out, the Governor Rhodes' camp came out and said, Dick Celeste before he dicks you. And
What year was this? And they actually
this would have been 1973, 4.
and they actually got away with that.
They did.
And advertising campaigns on TV.
But then they were talking. No, that I don't think that was a televised ad
Exactly.
campaign.
Exactly.
But it was sure floating around.
Okay.
But then there was the Governor Rhodes' problem was Kent State.
Yeah.
And that was a huge blunder on his part. And you know, students died, and the Ohio National Guard was shooting students. I mean, it was just a horrible, horrible event. And Dick Celeste was trying to point out and make that part of the campaign. And he said then Jim Rhodes accused him of wrongdoing with Home State Savings Bank, and Dick Celeste came back and said, "Hey, nobody died at Home State."
I remember that.
So
now.
there was
No
nobody
one
died at Home State and Dick Celeste before he dicks you. It was just a great exchange.
Back when politics was kinder and gentler.
No, it was still horrific.
It's still horrific today.
Yeah, I know.
I gotta stop reading it. You know what? I just read a poll today. Someone put a poll out. 6 in 10 Americans are actually, literally, having stress issues.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, you know who they are?
Who? Hillary voters.
Well, I would think it's people that are upset. It's these people that.
Dude, one of them is my wife.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
I know.
I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it.
It's odd.
I don't care. I mean, I'm not.
I'm
not crying over this election.
I'm not. You know what I've actually started doing, because I want to watch the news. I literally have to now go to Chinese news stations, European news stations, Australian news stations.
That way you can get your fake news with a side of noodles.
I like the accents.
It's fake noodles.
It's fake noodles?
Yeah.
And Guido.
No, not those kind of noodles.
Okay. No, actually.
Ramen noodles from China.
That's, Robin calls him President Guido Sarducci.
That's pretty funny.
I think it's hilarious.
So I went through elementary school.
Right.
I went through to Bollendale through 5th grade, and then my mom and dad had built a house on the other side of Howland, and I did 6th grade at Howland Glen Elementary School.
Oh, I remember.
Just that one year.
Yeah, it was so pretty down there. There was all new construction.
Yeah, all those new houses, thousands of new houses down there.
I know, everyone who moved down there.
That would have been 1973, 2, 3, 4, when they started building all those houses.
Right. And then the big push came 75 through 77 when it just exploded. There was a mass exodus of people from Warren.
Oh, yeah.
There was a mass exodus of people from Warren.
Yep. So went to the 7th grade building.
7th grade building, and that's where we met.
Right.
Officially
met.
We'll say that's when we started hanging out.
Yeah.
We would stop,
and then
we would stop and talk to each other.
Right.
Yes.
And then across this, probably got in trouble and stuff together. Then
Eric, you never got in trouble.
That's because I was quiet.
I know.
And I was well behaved, and I was respectful.
And when we started cutting up, you didn't go our direction.
No, I was in a different mindset.
Yeah, you were.
I don't know what that mindset was, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't loud.
No, you weren't.
No,
you were not. You went out of your way to be quiet.
That's what I said. People looking at me with band.
Yeah.
That helped me come out of my shell. I was in a shell. That's what I'm talking about.
I could always get you to talk in the hallway, though.
One-on-one.
Yeah, we were always.
It was very difficult to address a crowd, though.
Yeah, but you know what I also noticed, too? If I was with the guys, like one of the teams I was on, hanging out with them, you wouldn't talk.
No, I was very intimidated. I ran for student senate.
You did. You
in
won.
7th grade. I did not win.
You won in 8th grade. You served with me in 8th grade.
I did not.
You did?
I did not.
Who was on the student senate with me?
I have no idea. Some bastards that beat me.
I gave the worst, most horrible speech. I remember that.
No.
It was a popularity contest, because the only reason I won was because it was a popularity contest.
We had to have a black guy.
I was no, don't tell me I was the token.
That was the height of affirmative action.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was because I was popular and people liked me.
They liked you because everybody needed to have a black friend.
It had nothing to do with my charming personality?
I doubt that. Your speech, there's no way your speech was better than mine.
Mine? Yours was the best. Mine stunk.
Here's how bad it was for me. Now, I have to remember, this is 1974 or 5?
Let's say 75.
Okay. Leisure suits.
I had one.
Me too.
I had 4 of them.
Yeah, but you didn't wear all 4 of them to the speech day for student senate.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I did. Mine was bright yellow.
I remember it.
And my mother made it.
Get out of here.
No, it's true. So I go up on
That's,
stage. I don't remember the shirt, but I know my mother
Did
made
it
the
have
shirt.
did it have ruffles?
No,
Good.
no. But it was.
I
it was
remember that speech.
It was that fake silk
Yeah.
material, and it
Okay.
was a print, a wild print that, oddly enough, is back in style today.
That's what they do with fashion every
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
Yeah, well, leisure suits didn't come flying back off the shelves. But I went up there in that yellow suit, and I don't remember any of the speech, but I'd worked on that speech for a week. But that morning, one of the teachers, and I really don't remember which teacher it was, said to me, "You know, you kind of look like a banana." Son of a bitch.
That
And
would have been Mr. either.
I don't know.
Who's our football coach?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Sikowski.
But-
Sikowski.
But all day long, kids called me banana. All day long. So
You never wore the suit again to school, did
oh
you?
heavens no. So nor had I ever worn that suit before. This was a big day. I was addressing the entire student body.
She made this suit for this one special
No.
day.
She made it for me to wear to church or whatever
Okay.
to get dressed up. But I wore it to school because I was addressing the entire student body for Student Senate Speech Day.
Right.
As a candidate for Student Senate. So I went up on stage and I gave my canned speech that I had worked on all week long.
You would have probably been a better person than me on that Senate.
And then at the end, I folded my paper in half and I was done. And I paused and I leaned back over to the microphone and I said, "Listen," and this is all off the cuff. This was my first improv on a stage. I folded that paper in half. I leaned back over to the microphone and I said, "All day long, you people have been calling me a banana. And I'm here to tell you that I want your vote. I need your vote. You have to vote for me because as a banana, I have appeal."
Okay.
Can you imagine? I didn't win.
If that's the way you closed it, and
We were in 7th grade. We were 12 or 13 years
I
old.
know, but you didn't close it like that.
That's exactly how I closed it.
That's why you didn't win.
That's why I didn't make eye contact with anybody until 11th grade.
Eric, that was a corny joke.
Yes,
It's funny.
It was a corny joke.
Yeah, but we were
people
12.
laughed,
I know.
whatever. I mean,
No, did
we laughed at
did they give you-
boogers.
We all laughed at boogers.
That's what I'm
Unless
saying,
we
you know.
found a hard one underneath the
That's-
desk.
that's different.
That's a different one.
So yeah, I got my polite applause because the teachers were watching and made everybody clap for me.
well, this is a perfect example of the popular person got the vote when the
Of course.
most industrious person who probably would have done more on the student body, you over me, at the time. Because let's face it, I don't know how many meetings I missed because of baseball practice, football practice,
Sure.
or track
Track,
practice.
yeah.
Yeah. So if the voter had been really thinking.
Well, the voter has never been a thinking lot.
No, especially at 12 or 13.
Right. So after 7th grade, went to 8th and 9th grade building, then 10th, 11th, and 12th.
High school.
High school, loved high school, had a blast at high school, didn't do well academically, not because I couldn't, just because I didn't, but it was a big social experiment for me. That's
Why?
where I really exploded.
You got really popular in high school.
Well, I don't see.
You were popular.
I don't see that. I don't see it like that. I can see it from that perspective today. I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel that way until just not very long ago when somebody told me. Somebody explained to me, you could hang out and talk with the jocks, you could hang out and talk with the rednecks, you could hang out and talk with the motorheads, you could hang out and talk with the burnouts.
Oh, wait a minute.
We had all those
All
labels.
these labels?
Yeah, we had all those labels.
Oh,
That's what somebody told me.
Yeah, but you were asking me where I get all these labels from. We grew up in a label-making society,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I don't use all those labels. You use those labels.
Oh, you saying I've been better indoctrinated than you have?
Oh, you fell right in line, sheep boy. There you go. So anyway, but I was friends with I could be friends with couples. I didn't have there was not a girl that I dated through high school, but I could be friends with those couples. It was just I went to a dance.
By yourself?
No.
Who'd you go with?
You know what? I'm not going to tell you who I went with because
Okay.
it wouldn't be fair. But it was.
Do I know her?
It was. I don't know. But it was. But it wouldn't be fair to her. But it was a bad experience.
No, we're going to put this out on air, and if she doesn't want to know, She don't want people to know she went on a date with you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
No, it was a bad experience. She was, you know, I don't think I can tell the story without revealing things about her that would make everybody know who she was. But we went. I had a lovely time. I met her parents. I don't know if I met her dad. I met her mom when I picked her up. Borrowed my mom's 1976 green Volare with a Landau roof. Wasn't that nice?
Remember those?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, anyways,
What was it? Ricardo Montalban.
Yes.
Okay.
So we went to the dance. That was a Saturday night. That was a homecoming dance. It was in the gym at the high school. Then the following Monday.
No, wait a minute. What grade was this? Homecoming dance.
That would have been junior year. Well, I was driving, so it had to be junior year.
Oh, who was the homecoming? Homecoming junior year would have been.
What, the King and Queen?
I'm thinking of the game.
Oh, the game. I don't know. I don't know who the King and Queen was either. I don't know, but we lost. I can tell you we lost.
Oh, junior year. Yeah, we lost. No,
yeah, we lost all those games. You guys sucked. The band was phenomenal.
Senior year, we won one game.
Right.
Junior year, 4 and 6.
I don't know.
It wasn't that good either.
I have no idea.
No.
It was. That's what prepared me to be a Browns fan.
Watching us,
watching Howland lose.
same colors and got the same outcome.
Yeah, orange losing. Yeah. The only difference was we had the same coach forever, Jack Pearson.
We did.
Great guy.
He did.
Phenomenal guy.
But
let me finish the story. So I took this girl to school. Monday, goes back to school. She sits down at her lunch table with her friends, and they said, "Hey, did you go to homecoming?" Well, she comes over to me, and I was sitting with my friends at our lunch table, and this girl comes over and starts yelling at me. Oh, she was absolutely furious. And she would just, how could I humiliate her this way? And how could I, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And here's what it was. She sat down with her friends and they said, did you go to homecoming? And she said, yes. And they said, who'd you go with? And she said, Larry. And they said, Larry who? And she said, Larry Thompson, over there, the guy with the dark hair over there. And they all looked and they said, his name's not Larry, it's Eric. And she had a hearing problem. She was hearing impaired. And when I had asked her out, she said yes. I didn't know her very well. She was beautiful. And I've seen her since, and she's still beautiful. But I couldn't believe she said yes. Then we got to her house. I got to her house to pick her up, and she introduced me to her mother as Larry. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to correct her in front of her mother. And so I just answered to Larry all night. I didn't know what to do. And it was tragic because she was so sweet and so kind and so nice. And I tried to do everything right. And her friends said, what are you, stupid? His name's not Larry, it's Eric. And then she was humiliated. And then she yelled at me in front of my friends. And
you were humiliated.
And I was embarrassed. But I was so ashamed. That was so wrong what I did. But I didn't know how to fix it. Again, I'm 16. I don't know anything. I don't know how to fix anything. I barely know how to pump my own gas.
You barely got the tire on so you could get the car.
That's right. So I didn't know what to do, and I just ignored her. And if I saw her, we had one class together. If I saw her in that class, I just kind of averted my eyes, and it was just stupid. It was stupid. And I saw her probably 15 years after I graduated. She was not in our grade. But I saw her 15 years or something later, and 20 years, whatever. And she looked exactly the same, and she was very kind to me, and didn't bring it up, didn't call me Larry, didn't throw it back in my face, none of that. So that was like the worst thing that memory sticks with me. If I could change one thing, if I could only change one thing, I would go back and change that, because I just felt awful about how she felt. So,
you know what? But I understand why you did what you did.
Oh, sure.
You didn't want to correct her in front of her mother,
right?
But you should have corrected her after that.
I should have.
Yeah.
But by then she had already told everybody she was going with Larry, And so, she'd already told her mother, and who knows who else. So I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to fix it. It was a thing. I couldn't fix it. What are you gonna do? It was a thing.
Go Guido.
That's right.
Don't know. I don't know.
So graduated high school, went to YSU, started immediately in the summer. I got a job at Sharon Steel, making more money than anyone should ever make.
In 1980?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just
wages that high? Were wages that high then?
Steel mill wages.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah,
they were.
I was making like $15 an hour or something.
In the
I mean,
80s.
minimum wage was $2 or something.
Oh, it was low.
Yeah, so it was. It might have been $2.35, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it was. I was making a lot of money, and I started at YSU, and
I didn't know you went to YSU. This is crazy.
I did. I went to YSU and went there for a year and a half, 2 years. Transferred, got laid off at Sharon Steel. Worked a number of different jobs: shoe store, toy store, a couple of department stores in the mall. Had worked fast food in high school. Worked at Burger King for a couple of years, but then no more food service on my resume.
Bad experience at Burger King?
No, just knew to avoid it. It wasn't fun and pleasant, so
No, okay.
it was all right.
Tried that.
It was fun.
Yeah, don't go back there.
It was fun, but
Was it?
yeah,
In high school, I bet we all did. I did McDonald's for a little while.
yeah.
But you know what? They really couldn't stand.
You?
Other than that,
Oh, what?
track practice.
Well, because they have a schedule to meet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked a number of different jobs and went to Youngstown State. Transferred then to Kent Trumbull campus. Went to Kent State for a couple years. Business communication. Left Kent State because I got a full-time job and was making okay money. So thought, I don't really need to finish. I was still living at home, so didn't need to finish. And shortly after that, met Sue. She and I got married. Did a lot of specialty training, education, a lot of certifications, but never finished the degree program, and here we are today. I mean, I've worked in a number of industries and
volunteer firefighter.
Yeah, I was a fireman. I was an EMT, medic EMT. Saw a lot of cool things, very interesting things, tragic things. Served city council for a couple of terms.
Now,
running elections, going door to door, going through the whole grassroots
let's point
campaign
out
thing.
that when you were on city council at Newton Falls,
There were no problems.
none.
Well, that's not true. There were problems, but not like they have a reputation for blowing
Exactly.
things up now. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because you were, like you said, you didn't serve during the crazy days of
Right.
the
There were
city of-
crazy days before me, and there were crazy days after me, and there were some times during my 2 terms, there were some things,
but not crazy ones.
but they weren't just like there weren't recall elections
Yes.
and all that kind of garbage like
your
they
guys
had
need to
prior.
do something about your recall laws. Jeez,
Hey, you know
oh
what?
my gosh!
No, it makes it easy to hold your officials' feet to the fire.
We need something like that in Warren.
Well, this is not that kind of podcast, so we're not having that discussion.
I can't believe you just did that.
I'm just telling you, I'm not going to let you hijack this thing. It's black and white.
Okay, I left my gun at home anyway.
I don't know. Your infatuation with the Arab-Israeli conflict. I'm thinking you might hijack a plane, take us all to Cuba. A lot of that going around back then.
Actually, I just want to go to the auditor's office.
The auditor's office
I want to see the money trail.
in Cuba.
In Cuba, I'd love to go to Cuba right now.
It was a wonderful place.
I know.
I
you've
really
gone.
liked it.
And you know what's really sad? I was just telling Robin. I said I want to get down there before McDonald's and everyone else gets down there. You know exactly what I mean.
I do. There's not an Arthur Treacher's anywhere to be found. There is one McDonald's and one Pizza Hut on that entire island nation.
And you got to go find them.
It's in Guantanamo on the American base.
I believe that.
Yep.
I do believe that.
Hey, I worked at a company that sold shipping products. They made pallets, skids, and shipped those. Sold them by the train load. My territory was Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. I got to travel a lot. Got out to Omaha, Nebraska, South Dakota. Left that job. Sue and I moved to Cleveland. I took a job with an office furniture company. Sold office furniture to businesses all over Northeast Ohio. Was an admissions representative at a for-profit college.
Which one?
Not Trump University.
Okay. Was not Trump University.
No.
Okay.
No, it was not.
So you're not getting sued?
No.
Not for that,
No.
anyway.
No.
Well, he
Then
settled.
Was a city councilman from 2002 to 2007,
Are you looking at your resume?
and
You are, aren't you?
I have, and then I moved back to Warren. I wanted to move back to Warren.
You wanted to.
I wanted to.
Your wife?
My wife,
She like Cleveland?
yeah, we liked Cleveland. I mean, there was a lot to do, but when we made that list of pros and cons
And
to
you-
moving, to staying or moving back, we realized that all the things we were staying for
We're in Warren.
were only no.
What?
All the things in Cleveland that we would stay for were only an hour away. You know, if you wanted access to concerts or to go to the Indians game, or
yeah, it's not like
Cleveland Public
Sure.
Square.
It's not like when I
Playhouse Square.
left. When I left San Diego, there's no way to get back to a
Right,
Chargers
that's
game.
a 2,000-mile drive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was get in the car and go for an hour, and I do
Exactly.
that. 2 or 3 times a month. I drive back to Cleveland to do shows today.
That's
So-
why it was easy for me to leave Pittsburgh and come back to Warren.
Right, it's an hour away.
It's not that far.
Right.
And
I drive to I drive to Pittsburgh a couple times a month to perform as well, and it's only an hour away.
And the cost of living factor.
It's half.
You can't beat it.
So I opened this
Beat
business.
it. I'm sorry. I'll stop that.
I opened this business
Satoli's.
yes, Satoli Carpet and Floor Covering. Took it over from Mr. Satoli. He was sick,
And he's really Italian.
and yes, he is.
But you're
he's
not.
very Italian.
Okay.
And I am not.
Okay.
And he was looking for somebody, so my partner and I took over the business. That would have been 1993. Yeah, 1993 we took over, and bought my partner out about 10 years after that, 10 or 12 years after that. And so I've had it now, almost 25 years, and here we are in downtown Warren. In that time, I opened a mattress store, had a mattress store for a couple of years, opened a comedy club, had that for 4 or 5 years.
No, the mattress store, was that the one across from Sunrise?
No,
that was
no.
yours? Okay.
It was right next door on High Street in downtown Warren,
Okay.
and then the comedy club was inside Sunrise.
Yes, I was a frequent
Yes, you were.
patron to that.
And we brought some pretty good name performers from all over the country,
There were some pretty funny people.
and yeah, they're very funny. And I'm very fortunate, made a lot of friends, and still tour with some of those guys. And
So now that was it 45 Bourbon or Bourbon 45?
Bourbon 45, yeah,
They're closed.
they are closed. There was a comedy club in there too. That was the Funny Farm,
Okay.
and they just used their back room as a comedy showroom.
So are you still at the Sunrise?
No, no, I was performing so many shows. In addition to running that club, it was just killing me. Plus, I have I'm at my flooring store 6 days a week, so it was just killing me.
And, okay. And your wife explained that to you when you decided to open up the
She
comedy?
did.
She did.
She did, and I did it anyways, and she supported me 100%.
Okay.
Because that's
what wives do.
Yeah, that's what she does. She's
Okay.
great.
And
But
she was so happy when you came to the realization that.
after I don't know 3 or 4 years or something of doing those shows over
Yeah.
there, I said, okay, let's put this on hold. I didn't just close; I just stopped.
Okay.
And then I'm still doing more shows today than I've ever done ever. So, and I'm getting to work with bigger and bigger names, and getting to travel a little bit more. So it's pretty cool. One of the best things I did was used my stand-up comedy and magic performance to support Christian missionaries all over the world, where I'll take a week or two and go somewhere and perform in the dirtiest backwater ghetto in some tiny little village in the middle of nowhere.
There's that label again.
And what label?
Ghetto.
What do you call it?
I don't know. I don't know. What would they call it?
I don't know. If I said neighborhood, that's a label too.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm not.
Okay.
I didn't label the people that live there.
Well,
Just
yeah.
the neighborhood.
You're gonna make me do the history of the word ghetto now.
No.
Okay,
No.
don't.
No. I don't want to hear the history of the word ghetto.
Okay.
So I went to Cuba. I went to Guatemala. I did a dozen shows in 9 days across Guatemala, up in the
Get outta here.
mountains, and
Oh yeah, that was the one you were. All the pictures, and you came back with all the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. 12
There-
shows.
they-
That you did one show near a garbage dump.
I did in a dump,
In a garbage
in
dump.
a community dump.
But that garbage is life to those people, isn't it?
Well, to those people it is.
Yes.
And everywhere I went, no matter
We did it again. We said those people.
the
The
those
Guatemalans.
Guatemalans, yes,
Yes.
those dump dwellers.
Okay.
The
You get.
the people that I performed for there were poor, all of them. All those villages, the remote mountain villages, those people just they literally don't have two nickels to rub together. They don't know where their food tomorrow is coming from. So, they're very poor. When they hear that an American entertainer is in their village, every single to the man comes out. And we would pack the village square, or the only church in town, or the school, or whatever it was, and it would just be every single person in the village would be there. And I had an interpreter, and on the trip to Guatemala, there were other people. There were, I don't remember how many people. There were a dozen of us that were in this group. So I had so many pictures because there were other people in our group that were taking photos. So I came back with 2,000 pictures. Same thing with Cuba. I went to Cuba by myself, but I hooked up with a tour group when I got there. And, so I got all these pictures here. Here's my camera. Will you take a bunch of pictures while I do this show? And yeah, that was very cool. Did the same thing in West Africa. I went to Burkina Faso, spent a couple weeks over there, almost 2 weeks, and did some shows in schools and supported some church groups, some Christian missionary groups over there. Hope for Africa was one. And here in just a few weeks, I'm going to Peru. How about Lima, Peru is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. There are over 11 million people that live in Lima, Peru.
I would not want to go there.
That's like the population of Ohio doubled
In one spot.
in one city.
No, population of Ohio is
6 million.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we dropped that low.
And isn't it 6 million?
I thought it was 11.
Oh, I don't think it's 11 million.
You've got Google.
I'll check it out.
Okay. I got Android, so I should check it out.
Yeah, you check it out. Maybe I'm wrong. New York City is what, 8 million people?
8 million people
Okay.
in a city.
Lima, Peru is more than that.
I know.
That's just incredible.
Did you ever see the
Just
Facebook
incredible.
post I did about mega cities?
Yeah.
We're moving in that direction.
Yeah, of course. But
well,
that makes sense because
No,
you
it
put all-
doesn't. If
because
they
you-
want to move into mega cities, I'll take the countryside.
Okay, but if you put all your resources in one spot, and think about people in poverty, they can't live as well in a remote area as they can in a city where they can work together. That's all.
If they would become self-sustainable.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing.
Like what, growing their own food?
And that's what they're doing in Peru also.
So
And
let me
it's
ask you
cool
this.
because I get to go to these villages and
So let me
ghettos.
ask you this. We're talking about poverty here. You're talking about these people don't even have 2 nickels to rub
Yes.
together. But let me ask you this. And this is what I've noticed too, traveling the world and seeing extreme poverty. Okay? Even though they're poor, don't you find them a little less stressed than us?
Oh, by far. Oh, a million times less stress. And that's what I was going to say. The point I was going to make with Guatemala, the people in the villages, even the poorest of the poor, smiled.
Yes.
But the people that lived and worked in the dump did not. Those people were miserable, mean, angry, depressed. It's a horrible existence.
And they actually live in the dump.
They live on the outskirts of the garbage, and they live on garbage.
I've seen that.
They build their homes with garbage.
Out of garbage.
They pick through the trash. Every day when a garbage truck comes, there's a mob of 24 people that'll run over and start picking through it as it's falling out of the garbage truck.
I've seen it.
They're fighting off snakes and rats on the ground and those giant black birds, like crow-like birds above them. They're swatting at them, and they're picking through garbage.
Yeah, you'd be miserable.
It was. And there was a fire. There was a burning pile of garbage that was huge, maybe the size of a football field, that burns 24/7. So the whole region stinks. And the people are not healthy. But, you know, I hugged a woman who's pregnant, who's 15. I don't know. You know, it was just tragic. You looked up the population of Ohio, it is 11.5 million.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. So the entire population of Ohio is just a little bit less than the population of just Lima, Peru. And also on that trip, I'll be. It's very cool because we'll be in the Andes Mountains. I'll take a.
Tina went there last year.
I'll take a flight to Cusco and then a train to Machu Picchu.
Oh, you're going to Cusco
and Machu Picchu and yeah.
Are you going to Machu Picchu too?
Yeah. Yeah, find that lost Incan city up there in the mountains.
It's not lost.
No, I know. They found it about 100 years ago.
It's always been where they built it.
Yes, but they forgot where they put it.
No.
So
the
it was
people
lost.
the people who think they found. I always love it when the Western world says, "I discovered this." Like no,
I did discover this.
Yeah, the Western.
You know what I've discovered?
Western Europeans are delusional.
You know what I've discovered?
I discovered this. What?
I discovered
What'd you discover?
that we're out of time.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this what? Okay, we're out of time.
Hard to imagine.
It is.
We are out of time. So, in conclusion, to wrap that whole thing up, my wife and I had 3 children. Those 3 children each have a mate, and each of them has a boy and a girl. So I have 6 grandkids, 3 kids, and this is my life.
That was a movie or a TV show. But this is Black and White with
Eric,
and James.
I'm the white guy.
I'm the black guy.
Peace out.
Bye.